Best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
Ooh, buddy. Big Cow Media is big mad. This has been a glorious couple hours. Parker Livingstone is an Oklahoma Sooner. That's the news of the day. That's the news of the afternoon so far. One of two portal commitments for Oklahoma today. Joining, of course, UTSA transfer defensive lineman Kenny Ozuwalu. And boy, to see the spin zone that is happening on Twitter.com right now from the UT media machine, Grayson Singleton, it is something.
It's been a cluster, you know what, over there in Austin. Man, what is going on with them? I mean, if they don't, they're in a situation where if they don't land Cam Coleman, Austin might burn down. No Jaden Baugh for them. Parker Livingstone out the door to the rival.
And you know where Cam Coleman's supposed to be tomorrow. Lubbock, Texas.
I'll say he's going to be in Lubbock.
Don't you feel like Cody Campbell's probably pretty freaking motivated to dunk on the University of Texas, of all people? Not only Texas, but Texas and A&M both.
Yeah.
Who have been heavily involved in the Coleman sweepstakes. And this would be such a Cody Campbell thing to just up the asking price for Cam Coleman, like beat whatever offer is the best right now between Texas and A&M by like $500,000.
Mm-hmm.
Just make absolutely certain that Cam Coleman is playing his college football in West Texas next year. And at that point, man, yeah, it feels like Texas has had a rough go of it thus far in the portal window. And there's a lot of time for things to change, obviously. We're, 4 days in? So nobody is closing the book. Nobody has written the book on Texas's portal efforts thus far. But here's what happened today, Grayson Singleton. Texas got a little worse. Oklahoma got a little better by virtue of the Parker Livingstone acquisition. I'm curious to know where you stand on this, but I sincerely believe this, and this is not intended to disrespect Isaiah Satania or Trell Harris or Javani Gibson, Jermichael Carter, any of the other talented wide receivers already in the mix at Oklahoma.
Go ahead.
I think Parker Livingstone is immediately the best wide receiver on Oklahoma's roster.
Easily. He certainly is. Now, Trell Harris is going to be excellent in the role that he plays. Isaiah Satania is a slot guy. I think as perfectly used, he is a slot guy who's going to run around the middle of the field, run some drag routes, and produce after the catch. Parker Livingstone, at 6'4", over 200 pounds, we've talked ad nauseum about how he can run. I think he's your quintessential boundary guy that should be targeted 8 to 10 times a game. Now, Isaiah Satania did the most with the role that he had, given injury, given some fluctuations with the lineup and whatnot. But Parker Livingstone is the dude that we were wanting even as Isaiah Satania approached 1,000 yards because you knew you needed something else on the outside. And I think Livingstone gives you that. Ted talked about yesterday, I think he said, I think Parker Livingstone's a 2, not necessarily a 1. I'm cool with that because with the way everything is fitting, with the archetype that Parker Livingstone is, I think it kicks Satania to where he naturally should play. I think Trell Harris is going to slide immediately into his natural role. So the puzzle pieces, like screw the whole 1, 2, X, Y, B, A, C, yada, yada, yada. The puzzle pieces are going to fit together perfectly with the additions that Oklahoma has made.
On the text line, if you want to chime in throughout the show, please do so. 405-651-3439. Last couple days in particular, we have had a very substantial viewing audience on YouTube. And if you didn't know that you can find us on YouTube, guess what? You can find us on YouTube via the KREF Sports YouTube channel. But if you want to engage with us, send us a text at 405-651-3439. The show today brought to you by Dorsey Jones GMC. Phenomenal service out there. Half-price oil changes on Saturdays, and GMC's lineup of vehicles includes some of the most reliable trucks and SUVs on the road today. Appreciate Dorsey Jones for their partnership with us here on Locked In. Slim Brady hit the text line with a question directed at you, Grayson. He said, what does G-Baby see Trell Harris's role as, and who would you compare him to?
You know what I thought initially? It seemed like a quintessential Deion Burks replacement, in a way. Like a guy that can create separation with speed and quickness, but also a dude that could go up and win contested catches. Like, how many Deion Burks contested catches did we see, especially at the beginning of the year? I believe it was the Illinois State game. John Mateer just throws a fade go ball and has Deion Burks go get it and use his body control along the sideline. Now, I'm saying that in terms of the role that I expect him to play. I don't think they're an apples-to-apples comparison because I think Trell is a little bit bigger than Deion Burks. As a matter of fact, he is. Trell Harris is like 6'2", 200 pounds. But I do think in terms of, hey, go be a contested catch guy. Go be a guy that can create separation and be a possession wide receiver that can also make plays after the catch. That's what I think of. I think he's going to be somewhat around what Deion Burks was the last couple of years for the Sooners.
Doug in San Antonio on the text line wants to know what happened in the end with Zion Kearney, who hit the transfer portal last night. Why do you guys think he couldn't make a difference on the field? I think it's kind of the type of thing, Doug, where maybe the best comparison I could make would be Michael Hawkins. I don't think it's that Zion Kearney is incapable of making a difference. I just don't think the timing worked out quite right. There have been more experienced, more polished guys ahead of him on the depth chart for his 2 seasons at Oklahoma. He's a guy that has a hankering to get on the field and play starters reps and catch passes, and there hasn't been enough opportunity at Oklahoma for him for that to become a reality in Norman over the last 2 years, and that probably wasn't going to change in 26 with the addition of Livingstone and Trell Harris.
Let me ask you this, and I don't mean to bring up the whole Emmett Jones development conversation, but I kind of am here. Are we going to have to recalibrate how we have those conversations? Because if you look at how the receiver room sets up right now, there's not going to be a whole lot of ample snaps, we don't think, at least right now, to really get a good judgment on a guy like Elijah Thomas and Manny Choice with the additions that they've brought in this year. Are we going to have to recalibrate how we judge specific position coaches just because of the portal now? Sure, you're going to bring in your high school recruits, but oftentimes, depending on the situation you're in, you're going to want to bring in those juniors and seniors and guys who have produced that will continue to be ahead of those guys on the depth chart.
For sure. And a lot of those decisions, frankly, moving forward are going to be out of Emmett Jones' hands. Like the decisions as to who they pursue and how they fill the room with high school recruits versus bodies out of the transfer portal, that's going to be dictated by the whims of the front office more so than Emmett Jones. So all Emmett Jones is responsible for moving forward is getting the most out of his group regardless of what it looks like. Mm-hmm. And so how I will judge Emmett Jones moving forward and how I will judge every single Oklahoma assistant moving forward now that we know, okay, it's primarily Jim Nagy in the front office that are responsible for talent acquisition, I'm going to judge based on the production and the level of play that you see from the receivers. And so,
yes,
yeah, for me, I don't really care how many are guys Emmett Jones recruited out of high school. I don't really care how many are transfers. To me, it's about what is Emmett Jones getting out of his receivers, no matter how they came to Oklahoma and when they came to Oklahoma.
And 100% agree. I think that's the way he's got to go now with the front office because they're going to continually recruit somebody who can help us now. Right. It's going to be, and I know some people are going to be ticked off when I use this, it's going to be more of an NFL type thing. That's what it's going to be.
Very much so.
Yeah. You know, to this point, by the way, 3-star Glenn from Nashville, I've been hearing for 3 years now how good Elijah Thomas is,
my gosh.
but he's not really seen the field yet, and I don't hear his name mentioned as a potential starter for 2026. Is this guy a bust?
We have to stop doing this.
Go ahead.
We have to stop doing this. And look, Glenn, I'm not singling you out here by any means because you're not the only one that's done it. But we have to stop doing this with guys when they've been on campus for a year or two. And Elijah Thomas has been at Oklahoma for 1 season. He was a true freshman in 2025. Was a critical component of Oklahoma's kick coverage units on special teams. He was one of the most valuable special teamers Oklahoma had on the roster. And yes, he's absolutely a potential starter for 2026, but I think the safe money right now is on those 3 transfers. One of them's been here a year in Satania, but I think it's Satania, Harris, and Livingstone that project as your starters in 2026. Any way you slice it, you're going to need to play more than 3 receivers. There are going to be more than 3 receivers that are catching passes and making their presence felt. But we have got to stop throwing the bust label around so soon with some of these guys. It's not remotely applicable to Elijah Thomas's situation right now. It won't be remotely applicable to Elijah Thomas's situation a year from now. I don't know to what level he's going to produce over the course of his career at Oklahoma, but he's been here for 1 year. 1 year. Let's wait till fall camp rolls around in August. Let's wait till we have a concrete sense of what his role is going to look like before we start having an expanded conversation about where his true level of ability is at relative to the expectations that he carried to Norman.
And I think the bus thing is thrown around a little bit too liberally, for sure, and a little bit quick. But at best, is Elijah Thomas like the 6th wide receiver? Because we have the 3 that we keep mentioning, and then we keep forgetting that behind them is a Giovanni Gibson, who before his injury, everybody thought was the best wide receiver on the team, and a Jermichael Carter, whose stock is trending up after the end of this season. So, and then Jaden Petit enters the chat with this and all of this too. So it's one of those things that you bring up, and you started, the first text you read was the Zion Kearney question. Eventually, time kind of will do its thing in terms of how much some of these guys are going to be willing to wait. Because we're in a situation where the front office is always going to, who's going to win now? Who's going to help us win right now?
Well, and great text from Sooner Dad, who says, competition breeds success, let them compete. And they're going to under Emmett Jones. Right now, as it stands, Oklahoma's supposed to have 14 scholarship receivers on the 2026 roster. Between returners, between transfer acquisitions to this point, and with incoming freshmen factored in as well, that's the number, 14 scholarship receivers. When you have 14 scholarship receivers in a room, Grayson, odds are there are going to be 5 or 6 of them that just don't do much of anything, don't see the field at all or very little because there's just not enough snaps to go around. And you have to be okay with that. Like, for instance, if Ivan Carrion is one of those guys that gets shuffled to the back of the pack, that's just kind of a natural byproduct of competition. There's not going to be snaps for everybody. And so the cream will rise to the top. If I am projecting what the 2 deep will be for Oklahoma at receiver in 2026, without any knowledge of how some of these true freshmen are going to look when they show up, if I'm just working off what I know and what I expect, I would say the 2 deep for me, your first line, your starters, are Satania, Livingston, and Harris. And your second teamers are Jermichael Carter, Elijah Thomas, and Manny Choice. Those are the 6 that I feel most confident are going to factor into the equation in 26.
No Giovanni Gibson.
No Giovanni Gibson. And that's just because, man, like I got to see it.
Okay, that's fair.
And I haven't seen it with him yet, and that injury was so ill-timed. It was so unfortunate what happened to him last April after what was, by all accounts, a wondrous spring ball. But I think it was pretty clear when he got back on the field that it was going to take some time for him to get back to being himself.
Okay, so with that in mind, let me ask you this. Is Giovanni Gibson on this team next year?
I plead the 5th.
Okay.
We shall see. Sooner Boomer and Tuttle asked about Jaden Petit. And yeah, like Jaden Petit, if there is a true freshman that forces his way into the rotation at wide receiver, I think it is Jaden Petit. but I don't think Jasir Rogers is far behind. Like, there's this wide receiver room, Grayson, as I look at the names that Emmett Jones, the guys that Emmett Jones is going to coach and going to develop over the course of the offseason to get him ready for this 2026 season that's upcoming, I am so enamored by this group as a whole. There is going to be so much healthy competition. And you know that whoever emerges in the starting lineup, in the two deep, whoever gets early season snaps and demonstrates that they've earned the coaching staff's trust, man, that will have been a sincere effort throughout spring ball and fall camp. That will be genuinely something that was earned, not given. Nobody's going to there will be no charity cases at wide receiver for Oklahoma in 2026. Nobody's going to be getting snaps because of some seniority hierarchy or something along those lines. Everybody that plays that position for OU in 2026 will have earned whatever share of the action they get.
And that's how you want it. You know, it's interesting, though, that you bring up how you're going to judge Emmett Jones based on what the production looks like, not the breakdown of transfer production to high school production development. It's interesting that we're talking about that a couple of weeks after there was a position coach who got fired, and he had an all-SEC player. But a lot of our discussion was he didn't develop anybody out of high school. But he got that production on the field, and
I think
you see where I'm going here?
Yeah, and I think there was an understanding, as there should have been, that Jaron Canick's just a really special athlete, and his success at the tight end position was, while you can't completely remove Joe John Finley from the equation, you have to give him some credit there. There's also a large part of it that was just kind of a natural byproduct of Jaron Canick's insane physical gifts. Like, that's a guy that got an invite to the Shrine Bowl. He may hear his name called on draft day. I don't know what he is at the next level. I don't think it's a tight end. Maybe he's a fullback, of which there aren't many in the NFL, but there are a few. Maybe he's a wide receiver. Maybe he takes the Jack Besh route from tight end to wideout. He's certainly fast enough. We'll see. But, yeah, in this day and age, man, like I'll cite you a perfect example. I know Josiah Martin is a guy that Emmett Jones probably would have liked to have had for an additional season to develop, and they felt like the staff felt like he could have played and made an impact for this program, but the front office was kind of, they were ready to upgrade from Josiah Martin. Felt like they could.
And also, where would Josiah Martin have fit into all this? One thing before we go to break, Jackie Platinum on the YouTube chat says, "What a sick day. Also just wanted to say, just secured a job as a JUCO recruiter. Ooh. Would be a lie if this show and Parker and Drum didn't inspire me to chase this dream. Love you all. F Texas."
That's freaking awesome.
That's cool, man. Congratulations.
Yeah. It's going to be a fun gig. Keep us posted on how it goes. 405-651-3439 is how you chime in with us here on the text line. Just getting started here on Locked In. So much to run down, so much to talk about as Portal Combat is in full swing. Keep it here with us on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Locked In is brought to you every day by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Dorsey Jones GMC is family-owned and operated with a knowledgeable, low-pressure sales staff here to help you through the buying process and half-price oil changes on Saturdays. Visit dorsey-jonesgmc.com for more information.
Open enrollment for healthcare coverage has been extended. If you missed the initial 12/15 deadline, you can still purchase coverage up until January 15th. Call Allison Insurance. With over 70 years in the industry, Allison Insurance can help spot problems and avoid common mistakes when purchasing health insurance for individual, employer, group, and Medicare. Visit AllisonInsurance.com. Then call Robert at 800-580-5587 or 745-2968. Allison Insurance. They are the experts.
Insurance companies aren't in the business of saving you money. They're in the business of taking your money. Hi, this is Will Gosney with Yala Gosney Attorneys at Law. Have you ever had an insurance claim and thought, wow, I really am in good hands, or these folks truly are treating me like a neighbor? Well, that's where we can help. We'll deal with the stress. We'll get you back to your normal life. So save our number in your phone, and if you're ever hurt in a wreck, call or text us at 405-800-8080. It's 405-800-8080.
For 3 generations, the John M. Ireland & Son Funeral Home and Chapel in Morris continued to serve the community by giving back to local schools, charitable organizations, and first responders.
We provide pre-planning for funerals and cremation services at the most reasonable prices.
We are proud to be a family-owned and operated funeral home.
Award-winning funeral home year after year, our family believes in serving the people of our community.
I'm John Ireland.
And I'm Solon Daniels.
You've got our word on it.
No matter where you live, you care about one thing during bad weather: keeping your family and property safe. Scissortail Roofing and Construction is here to ensure just that. Whether it's damage from strong winds or a hailstorm, we will manage your residential or commercial project from start to finish. Call us today at 405-928-8089 or visit us online at scissortailroofing.com for a free estimate. Call Scissortail today, your trusted local roofing and construction company. No matter where you live, you care about one thing during bad weather: keeping your family and property safe. Scissortail Roofing and Construction is here to ensure just that. Whether it's damage from strong winds or a hailstorm, we will manage your residential or commercial project from start to finish. Call us today at 405-928-8089 or visit us online at scissortailroofing.com for a free estimate. Call Scissortail today, your trusted local roofing and construction company.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
What does VA mean to me?
A place for my daughter to call home, thanks to the VA Home Loan.
A new lease on life. The best healthcare team I've ever had is here at VA.
And education, and the opportunity to open doors I never thought possible with my GI Bill.
The financial support I need to manage the disabilities I developed because of my service.
Get what you earned. Visit choose.va.gov.
Not all veterans are eligible for the type or amount of benefits mentioned here.
It's a new year at OKC's favorite casino, and Riverwind is the best place to play. Choose from nearly 3,000 electronic games, or catch the hottest entertainment at the Showplace Theater. Thunder up and hit it big on classic table games.
Play with your wild card, and every Friday in January,
you could win your share of our $100,000 cold hard cash giveaway.
Riverwind Casino, your home for good times.
At Susan G. Komen, we believe that ending breast cancer needs all of us working together. Because if you've just been diagnosed and don't know where to turn, we've got you. If you can't afford the treatment you need, we've got you. And if you are driven to honor the loved one you've just lost, we have a place for you here. Because of you, we're supporting those who need help today while tirelessly searching for tomorrow's cures. Visit Komen.org and be a part of our Susan G. Komen community today.
Locked in here on the ref, Parker Thune, Grayson, Singleton here with you. Trying to keep our heads above water, as it has been quite a wild week already on the portal scene for Oklahoma. 9 commits in already for Jim Nagy and crew. 2 of them today. We discussed Parker Livingston already. The one guy that kind of got buried in the news cycle earlier, and I'm glad we were able to get him on at the top of the 1 o'clock hour here on the ref, was Kenny Ozawalu, the transfer defensive lineman from UTSA. 6'4", 270 pounds. Redshirt sophomore to be, so 3 years of eligibility left at his disposal. And I'm just very curious, Grayson, as to what the vision for Kenny Ozawalu is at Oklahoma. Miguel Chavis was the one that kind of spearheaded Oklahoma's efforts in the portal to go and land him, at least from a relational standpoint. So Miguel Chavis is obviously your defensive ends coach. Todd Bates coaches the defensive tackles. But at 6'4", 270, it would seem to me Ozawalu's kind of a tweener where you could slim him up a little bit, get a more svelte version of Kenny Ozawalu playing defensive end at OU, or you could add 30 pounds to that frame and make him a 3-tech.
Which is something he's already done in his life, by the way.
Yeah, he has, as we learned. He bulked up at 30 pounds to start playing defensive line his senior year of high school.
You know what's interesting about his story to me, and the fact that he also has 3 years of eligibility left, is that he is willing to put in the work.
Yeah, big time.
And, I mean, you're talking about a guy who walked on at UTSA, after putting on the 30 pounds. So you know that there's just a track record of work and doing what it takes to do. So regardless of what they ultimately decide to do with him, he's going to be down for the process. Now, does that mean he becomes a superstar? Not necessarily, but it means that he's going to be a hell of a teammate, going to be coachable, and he seems like a good kid from listening to you and Steely's interview with him. So this should be a very interesting one to follow as to which path they decide to take with him.
And there was somebody in the YouTube chat earlier, which, by the way, we are on YouTube via the KREF Sports YouTube channel. A lot of folks watching on YouTube thus far this week. So we're glad to have all of you, especially those of you that don't typically listen here. But somebody on YouTube asked, is this Oklahoma's Marcus Strong replacement? Not by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know that Kenny Ozawalu is a super high-impact guy in 2026. I think he's more the type of guy that you stash for a year, develop for a year, see where he's at in 2027, kind of cut him loose, whether that's a defensive end or defensive tackle. But Oklahoma's Marcus Strong replacement is probably going to be Alex Van Sumeren, who is the one guy left over from the crop of weekend visitors who has not yet announced his commitment to Oklahoma. Like, the Sooners are batting 1,000 with the guys they had on campus over the weekend thus far. The only guy that has not made any decision yet, at least publicly, is Alex Van Sumeren, the transfer defensive lineman from Michigan State.
How you feeling about that?
I feel good. I think they wind up getting him, and if so, I think they've upgraded from Marcus Strong.
Really?
6'3", 300 pounds. He's a 1-year rental, only 1 year of eligibility left, but redshirt senior to be. We're talking about a guy that logged 52 tackles in 2025 from the defensive tackle position, and that just doesn't happen in college football. You don't see defensive tackles racking up 52 tackles on their own.
And that's going to be your de facto, let's just say, Grayson Halton replacement.
Yep.
Because you're going to have Stone and Jackson as your ones at the two tackle positions, and you're going to need more because Brent Venables is going to play 4 or 5 defensive tackles in a given game. So if you can bring that guy in and he be your third DT, that room still looks pretty stout.
I wouldn't mind if Oklahoma were to take another portal defensive tackle, another experienced guy. And I doubt you're going to find a guy that's as good as Van Sumeren out there on the market that you can get at a reasonable price point. Kind of splurging for Van Sumeren in a sense. But between him and Ozawalu, I feel good. I don't feel great about Oklahoma's defensive tackle depth. Obviously feel great about your 2 starters next year in Stone and Jackson. But I don't feel great about the depth even with Van Sumeren on board because at that point you're relying on Trent Wilson to take a leap and be ready to roll as a redshirt freshman. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. How ready are Brian Harris and James Carrington? Does Ricky Alolohea even exist? We may never know the answer to that question.
Are we going to get a resolution on that?
Nigel Smith, he's in the mix there as well, but you don't have any proven commodities at defensive tackle. You have some exciting young talent, but you don't have any proven commodities beyond Stone, Jackson, and hypothetically, Alex Van Sumeren. So I would not mind Oklahoma taking another defensive tackle in the portal. Is it an absolute necessity? Maybe not, but I think especially with the scholarship limit going up to 105, that would be a very sensible acquisition for this front office.
Are we ever going to find out what, and I guess this question just from the first segment and now is starting to dawn on me. We ever going to find out what they have in a guy like Trent Wilson? Do we think we ever actually find out that answer?
We're going to have to at some point. We're going to have to. He was a top 100 prospect in the 2025 cycle, regardless of position. So I would expect you're going to see him in meaningful situations this fall. How does he handle those reps? That's what I'll be curious to see. He only saw garbage time action in 2025 as a true freshman. Trucker B wants to know, is Zion Reagans still on the roster? If so, why? Yes, Trucker B, as of right now, he is still on the roster.
Goodness.
Why? I would refer you to two things. One, the scholarship limit increasing from 85 to 105. And two, what happened in 2024 at the University of Oklahoma. When you have a guy like Zion Reagans on the roster, and he did virtually nothing in 2025. No, actually, he did nothing in 2025. Did not record a reception. But when he's got a background as a starter at OU, albeit under very, very unique circumstances in 2024, regardless of whether or not he's a guy you're pretty indifferent about as a front office and as a staff, you're probably not just going to outright tell him to hit the road if he's not costing you a ton of money. You'll just kind of let him make that decision for himself. I mentioned yesterday that it felt like by pursuing a guy like Davion Dozier in the portal, Oklahoma was kind of trying to send a message to some of those third, fourth string receivers on the roster, i.e. Zion Kearney, that, hey, if you want to leave, we're not going to beg you to stay. And so it's kind of on those guys to take the cue. Zion Reagans is still around. I don't think Oklahoma's going to chase him off. But then again, if he hit the transfer portal tomorrow, I don't think anyone on the OU side would be slapping their knees going, aw shucks.
Of those wide receivers, going back to that, of those wide receivers, the choices, the Thomases, Reagans, obviously Kearney's out the door, Carrion, those guys that Emmett's recruited, who do you think, is it basically down to E.T. and Manny as to the ones that we're probably going to get a good sample size of in a Sooner uniform?
I'd think so, yeah. KJ Daniels is cleared out.
Yep.
Zion Kearney has cleared out. I'm not optimistic that Zion Reagans is still around in 2026. So it's Ivan Carrion, and it's AT and Choice. That's pretty much it. There was a listener in Arkansas who goes by the name DR who said Van Sumeren likely has 2 seasons to play, as he was redshirted in 2022 and missed 2023 with injury. Could be a valuable pickup. Okay, so that detail flew over my head. If indeed he's eligible for a medical waiver and could have 2 seasons, then yes, that is quite literally your Marcus Strong replacement. And I think that's an upgrade over Marcus Strong, as I've said before. I think you have upgraded from the loss of Marcus Strong if you can bring in Alex Van Sumeren. Strong projected as that third defensive tackle behind Stone and Jackson heading into 2026. When he made the decision to hit the portal, OU had to bring somebody in to fill that void, and I like where they sit right now with Van Sumeren.
What do you feel? How are you feeling about offensive tackle? That was another position that we like the starters, kind of similar to D-tackle. We like the starters. The depth is a little bit questionable. Obviously, you added the guy from Arkansas yesterday. How are we feeling about that?
Couple names to watch.
Okay.
Couple names to watch. Guys that at this point are planning to be on campus later this week. Luke Work from Mississippi State. Swing tackle, 2 years of eligibility left, 6'6", 315 pounds.
That'll play.
He's started at both left tackle and right tackle for the Bulldogs, so that could be your Logan Howland replacement. And then Zach Kocknauer from Nevada. He is originally a native of Minnesota, and the Golden Gophers are involved in that recruitment. And so I truly don't know what the odds are at this point that they land either Kocknauer and or Luke Work. I feel better about Work than I do about Kocknauer, but those are 2 guys, 2 names to know moving forward for Oklahoma on that offensive line.
Texter in the 405. What's going on with our boy from England? How's he doing?
Daniel Akinkumi?
Yeah, UK Dan.
Doing fine, man. And again, I think right now he falls in that middle third of the roster. Talked a little about this yesterday. You have your upper third of the roster that's dudes. You have your lower third of the roster that they're probably never going to do anything at Oklahoma. And then you have that middle third of the roster that kind of falls somewhere in between. Guys that, maybe they aren't playing key roles, but if called upon, they could hold their own. Daniel Akinkumi, to me, right now, is just he's in that middle third of the roster.
Yeah.
And that's fine. You need those guys.
405 Bison says, if it's not Kocknauer, then win.
Okay, 405 Bison. Let's take it easy here.
Hey, man, well done.
Kyle from Southsaw says, I bet Luke Work's ready to put in that work. You hope so.
You guys are on one with the puns.
A 512 listener down from the state of Texas by the name of Heston says, where are we at with Owen Long? I know we are in on the Michigan linebacker, but can't imagine we wouldn't want the FBS's leading tackler. Yeah, Oklahoma's still in the mix with Owen Long. That's just, there's going to be a hefty price tag attached to him because he was the FBS's leading tackler in 2025. And he's already visited Indiana. There are many other P4 schools that are vying for a seat at the table. Oklahoma is one of those schools to whom Owen Long's name had been connected even before he got in the portal. So that tells you something. But in the here and now, Oklahoma's preoccupied with trying to get Cole Sullivan on board and coax him away from the Michigan Wolverines. He's in the portal. Michigan's trying to get him back to Ann Arbor. It's as simple as this. He's going to transfer to Oklahoma or he's going to go back to Michigan. I frankly have no idea. No one knows. I don't think the kid knows which direction he's going to go right now. But between him and Owen Long, and with the likelihood right now that Kip Lewis returns, doesn't really feel like Oklahoma's in a position where they've got to take multiple linebackers. If they get one, that might be all they need. And if you could get both Cole Sullivan and Owen Long, I don't think you say no to either one. If you can get both, you take both. But one of the two would suffice, in my mind.
When are we going to figure out what's going on with Heineke?
I don't know, man. And I'm not optimistic there anyway.
Right.
Little more optimistic than I once was, but I think we're still talking about a likely world in which he's off to the NFL and not returning to Oklahoma in 26. I think it's still a long shot. So that's where we're at for now. Kip Lewis comes back. That's great news for Oklahoma. You can pair him with a guy like Owen Long or a guy like Cole Sullivan and some of those young stock risers in the Oklahoma linebacker room. Feeling pretty good, especially with the knowledge that they will be coached by Brent Venables and Nate Dreiling throughout the offseason. 405-651-3439. One final segment of Locked In is on the way. Keep it right here on the Ref. The home of Sooner fans, we shall return.
The Ref Radio Sports Network is powered statewide by the insurance adjusters at Brown O'Haver. Fire, wind, theft, or tornado, we can help. Call 405-735-5510.
From the bench to your defense, Schumacher Law Group, former district judge and former prosecutor on your side fighting for you. With over 30 years of experience in criminal defense, divorce, and probate matters. Need to clear your record? They're the trusted experts for expungements, helping you seal your past and secure your future. Find them at lawgroupok.com. Schumacher Law Group, when experience matters.
Call the 12th Avenue Chick-fil-A in Norman at 405-310-3189. Let them prepare your party. You'll be the favorite guest when you bring a Chick-fil-A nugget tray, sandwiches, or a mac and cheese tray. It'll be their pleasure to serve you, whether dining in, carrying out, catering, or delivering delightfulness to your front door. Box meals to nugget trays to gallons of lemonade and tea. They have plenty to offer for your next class party, team celebration, or family gathering. You'll be the big-time guest when you bring Chick-fil-A. Call 405-310-3189. And remember, eat more chicken.
Wonderhouse Design can transform everyday spaces into works of art with new drapery, wallpaper, upholstery, trims, and hardware. Want custom draperies? They do Romans, blinds, shutters, and outdoor automated screens to elevate your space with style. When it's time to refresh furniture, their upholstery experts can bring new life with performance fabrics built for the way you work, play, and live. Visit Wonderhouse Design at 1228 North Interstate Drive in the Robinson Crossing Center or call them today, 405-831-5908.
Now. We tend not to think about now. We dream about tomorrow, relive yesterday. But right now in front of us is victory over cancer. Right now, cancer research funded by the V Foundation is leading to better treatments and saving lives. Victory over cancer is there for the taking by you, because today's cancer research is tomorrow's victory. Learn more at v.org.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Meet Janicky, the unrivaled team of cleaning champions. We're here to elevate your business to sparkling perfection. From Oklahoma Memorial Stadium to businesses nationwide, Janicky delivers spotless environments. Proud partner of OU football and OU athletics. As we cheer on the Sooners, Janicky brings the same dedication to every cleaning task. For commercial cleaning services beyond compare, visit janiking.com today. That's JANIKING.com. Janiking, the king of clean. And go Sooners.
My name is DeMar Hamlin. I play for the Buffalo Bills, and I play safety. CPR saved my life. I've teamed up with the American Heart Association as a national ambassador to help create a nation of lifesavers, turning bystanders into lifesavers through CPR education and access to AEDs. Nearly 3 out of 4 cardiac arrests that don't happen in hospitals happen in homes. Join me to ensure everyone has the chance to live longer, healthier lives. Visit heart.org/nation.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Discover the path to sobriety, emotional well-being, and lasting positive change with the Virtue Center, a nonprofit serving Oklahoma since 1972. Specializing in addiction, gambling, and mental health-related services, we offer same-day walk-in screening appointments Monday through Friday and serve ages 12 and up, as well as individual clients or families. Give us a call at 405-321-0022 or visit thevirtuecenter.org to learn more.
A little bit of breaking news relevant to a conversation that we were literally just having. Very timely little bit of breaking news. Ivan Carrion has entered the transfer portal. So, man, I know that's relatively inconsequential in the grand scheme. He only caught 2 passes in 2025, but he had such a fun, unique skill set. I was optimistic that Ivan Carrion would do a little something before his career at Oklahoma was finished. And he had an outstanding fall camp in 2025. Ultimately wasn't good enough to earn a substantial share of the snaps as a sophomore. And he is now going to look for greener pastures, more opportunity elsewhere. So things are really starting to thin out in that wide receiver room when we look at the second and third stringers so far in the transfer portal, amongst guys that played for Oklahoma in 2025 but didn't do a ton. Josiah Martin has transferred, Zion Kearney has transferred, and Ivan Carrion has now made the decision to transfer as well. So your returners at wide receiver as of now, heading into the 2026 season: Isaiah Satania, Jermichael Carter, Giovanni Gibson, Zion Reagans, Jacob Jordan, and, of course, Emmanuel Choice and Elijah Thomas. Bringing back 7 wideouts, bringing in at least 6. 4 true freshmen in Jaden Petit, Jasir Rogers, Daniel Odom, and Xavier Okafaleze, and then 2 transfers as of today, 2:44 p.m. on Tuesday, in Trell, Harrison, Parker, Livingstone. So, a little bit of a flush happening in that receiver room. Not a total overhaul the way that we're seeing in the tight end room, for example, but a lot of change.
Would it have been better if they told Ivan Carrion put on 20, 25 pounds and made him a tight end? Because it just never felt like they really were on the same page as to what they were going to do with him.
Yeah, see, he wasn't a tight end. He isn't a tight end, and that's kind of the issue for somebody like him, is it would make a ton of sense to turn him into a tight end, but he doesn't block well enough for it. He's not physical enough as a blocker to slide down to tight end.
How much worse would it have been than Jaren Kanak?
Fair, but I think that's kind of why Oklahoma's doing what they're doing in the portal right now at tight end. Because they want to get past having non-factors as blockers.
Right now, yes, but I'm talking about would it have been better last offseason if they had told Carrion, hey, put on 20, 25 pounds. Look, he may not have been that great of a blocker this year, but it couldn't have been much worse than what you were rolling with before Caden Helms emerged as your best blocking tight end.
Maybe. Jay in Tulsa says, so Carrion officially becomes a wayward son. Very nice, Jay.
Well done.
Very nice. Dave from Norman asks, Keontez Lewis is out of eligibility? Yes, he is. He cannot come back. Michael and Marlo says, dude couldn't even block a DB, LOL. And that was always the bugaboo for Carrion, is if he displayed some nastiness as a blocker, I think it would have been a lot more serious of a consideration to bulk him up and move him to tight end. But it's a lot easier to make that decision when you only have to fix one thing. When you have to fix two things, it makes a decision like that more difficult. If you only had to make him nastier, or you only had to add 25 pounds to his frame, then you're probably content going ahead, plowing forward, moving forward with a decision like that. But when you have to square away both of those factors in order for him to make any sort of a dent at tight end, it just doesn't make a ton of logistical sense. So, look, really like Ivan Carrion as a player, really like Ivan Carrion as a person. Hope and expect that he will land on his feet. I imagine he's going to have P4 suitors. He should. How many wide receivers are you going to find out there that are 6'6"? He's one of the tallest wide receivers in the entirety of the FBS. So with his unique frame and skill set, he should be able to land softly somewhere else in the P4 if he wants to.
A lot of questions on the YouTube chat and on the text line about where Jacob Jordan sits in all of this with the wide receivers.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to kid you. I'm going to keep it 100. I don't know for a fact that any of these three guys are transferring, but I would not be stunned if you saw Giovanni Gibson, Zion Reagans, and or Jacob Jordan transfer. None of those three, like seeing a portal announcement from any and all of those three would not shock me one bit. There's been noise about each of the three. Nothing definitive, nothing certain, but it would not shock me if any and all of those three made the decision to depart. And with what Oklahoma's done, kind of a reshaping, retooling the wide receiver room under the direction of Nagy in the front office, from a business standpoint, you couldn't really fault any of those guys.
No.
They made that decision. It makes sense. A listener in Kansas says, Kanak blocked better than Helms and was dedicated to the university. First year, third team All-SEC tight end. Don't see you making an All-SEC. I would push back against the assertion that Jaren Kanak blocked better than Caden Helms. Jaren Kanak was not a very good blocker. He was not a very good blocker. Good pass catcher, safety blanket for John Mateer, certainly not a very good blocker.
No.
And Oklahoma's main priority with that position, moving forward this offseason into the portal window, was to bring in tight ends that could block and could catch passes. And I think they've gotten a couple of those guys in Hayden Hansen and Rocky Beers. Hansen probably a little bit better of a blocker. Beers a little bit better of a pass catcher, field stretcher. But both, I think, significantly upgrade Oklahoma's tight end room in an overall sense. KW918 says, will we ever see development at any offensive position group so our offense isn't a revolving door of portal players? Every year, just having to start over with little continuity makes it tough. And it's a good question, K-Dub. I think you're seeing a foundation laid in each of those position groups right now, and there is that foundation laid on the offensive line.
Yes.
Michael Fasusi, Eddie Pierre-Louis, Ryan Foje, that is your nucleus. That is your core on the offensive line for the years ahead. And all three of those guys were recruited and developed out of high school. I think your nucleus, let's say 2 years from now in the wide receiver room, is going to consist of Elijah Thomas, Manny Choice, and certainly Jaden Petit and Jasir Rogers, maybe Daniel Odom and Xavier Okafuleze as well. Your core in the running back room, absolutely, is Xavier Robinson and Torrey Blaylock, and they have a couple talented true freshmen coming behind him as well in Jonathan Hatton and DeZephan Walker. And then the big thing is, and it's kind of crazy, I bring this up from time to time, but this is a very relevant little factoid regarding the quarterback position. Last quarterback to sign out of high school and finish his career at Oklahoma was Blake Bell 15 years ago.
Yeah.
It's been a good long time. And Jet New and Bo Bentley have the chance to snap that drought, but it's been more of a revolving door at quarterback than any other position on the offensive side of the ball. And that's not exclusive to the Brent Venables era. That goes back much further. Baker Mayfield was a 3-year starter, and that was great. Those were fun years. Oklahoma hasn't had a guy start multiple seasons in their entirety since, with the exception of Dylan Gabriel. Kyler Murray in 2018, Jalen Hurts in 2019, Rattler in 2020 in the first half of 2021, and then, of course, Caleb Williams in the second half of 21. You had the 2 Gabriel years in 22 and 23, and those were fun years as well. But then, of course, 2024 was the Arnold/Hawkins experiment fiasco, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And 2025, we got Mateer. Year one of Mateer.
Here's the way I look at this in terms of whether or not people will be developed anymore. You can't be terrible. And I think gone are the days where, as a freshman, you could be terrible. I think as a freshman, and certainly by the time your sophomore year is concluded, you have to show something. You don't got to be all SEC. You don't have to be all conference or anything like that, but you've got to show something.
Mm-hmm.
The days of you just being, bad, but everybody's saying, okay, yeah, we can develop him. It's okay if he's bad. Those days are over. But I think as long as you show some potential and some capacity for being a guy who can get on the field and be productive, you're going to be okay.
You got to give the university ROI.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. Yeah. I mean, you hate to use the word transactional, but college football as a whole is more transactional than it's ever been because everybody's on a 1-year contract, man. Some of these contracts are multi-year, but as we've seen with some of the individual cases that have emerged in the public eye, you don't have to honor those contracts. The school doesn't have to honor them. The player doesn't have to honor them. The player wants to bail in the middle of his contract and get in the transfer portal. He can't really be held legally liable, or at least hasn't been yet. And similarly, if the school wants to encourage that player to hit the transfer portal and go play somewhere else, they can certainly do that too. So everything happens on a 1-year-at-a-time basis right now in college football. And so if in any given year you as an individual on a college football roster are showing the staff and the front office, if there is one, absolutely nothing to indicate that you offer short-term or long-term return on the investment that they made in acquiring you, they are going to cut you loose in favor of someone else.
Mm-hmm.
It's hardball, but that's what it is. That's what it's become. It is the NFL in many ways. It is the NFL with much larger rosters. You got 53 guys on NFL rosters. College football rosters are twice that large.
And much more roster turnover than the NFL because the NFL has multi-year contracts.
Mm-hmm. Colin Claremore says, dang, EJ's 2024 class just got deleted, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Reagan's is the only one of the 4 that has not yet hit the transfer portal this offseason. And again, wouldn't shock me if he joined that crew. Kearney, Carrion, KJ Daniels, all gone.
You know what I think is also going to be gone in these discussions? Projecting 3 years out. That's done. You don't know who's going to be on the roster 3 years from now. Hell, we don't know who's going to be in the roster next year.
Everything changes so quickly, man. Everything changes so quickly. It's controlled chaos. And sometimes it's not even very well controlled. Sometimes it's not even very well controlled. But it's college football. We love it. And we love doing this show every single day for all of you here on the Ref Sports Radio Network, the home of Sooner fans. For Grayson Singleton, I am Parker Thune. That is going to tie a bow on our program this fine Tuesday afternoon. Coming up next, it is The Rush with Teddy Lehman and Tyler McComas. They got you for the next 3 hours. Don't go anywhere. Keep it here on The Ref.